Oh, that's how you see Greenlight games on Steam.
Oh, you just figured that out?
Yeah, dog. I always went online to do it, and then I did a hard search on Steam.
Well, I'm glad I got that recorded for our 3rd episode of the podcast. Hey, guys.
Everyone knows I masturbate, and I just learned out how to greenlight on Steam. I sound like a true winner. Hate this podcast bullshit.
Hey, guys, it is Laz Rahikin and
Luxboo.
And for our 3rd podcast today, we are going to talk about, what are our favorite co-op games that we like to play together.
Is that a question?
I guess so. I mean, it's a question to us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is.
Because we have to answer it, right?
Yeah.
And, because we've had a little bit of a debate, and we were talking about, do we want to talk about video game topics, or do we kind of want to let people know a little bit more about us? And I think, Luxboo, you brought up some excellent points on having them learn a little bit more about us. So I think this is going to kind of be us treading into new territory and, kind of showing our personal taste when it comes to video games.
Yeah, throughout the ages, too. I mean, it's not going to be just what we enjoy playing over the last couple of years. Yeah. It's going to be through the life of... After that fateful day, I ghost-rid your bike off a slide, and we became great friends after that.
Just the bestest of friends right after that,
Immediately following that time.
I was totally happy that you broke my bike when I was a young 5-year-old.
It was more so your mom my mom and your mom both saying, you know what, you guys should play nice. And then we're like, okay, let's give that a shot.
Yeah.
And then we realized, hey, we actually love video games. Damn.
Yeah.
Life changed.
Where have we been all this time? Yeah. So, but before we dive too far into, our favorite co-op games that we like to play with one another, I first want to kind of go to the comments board, because from our first episode, because that's the most recent one out since we're on a little bit of a lag here, it comes from one of our dear friends, Mr. Gamer 990. Mr. Gamer 90 we've known him for, close to a year now. That's kind of crazy to think about.
I think it was one of our first friends that we made on YouTube after we made a channel.
Definitely could have been. We interviewed him also on our YouTube channel as well.
Highly recommend check that out.
Yeah,
shameless plug, but
yeah, he's a cool guy to be around, and he has a comment saying, "Awesome new series, guys. I'm excited to see more about the podcast from both you and Luxboo." Then he goes on to talk about how he is actually kind of looking into MOBAs, and I was kind of surprised to see that, just because obviously many of the videos I've watched from Mr. Gamer 990, he's much more of an RPG type guy, but I think that kind of really reinforces what we were talking about in our first episode, and that MOBAs are becoming a very universal game genre. There's people from all different walks of life, all different tastes, that are like, I really think I can get into the multiplayer and the competitive aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely worth a try, just to see. I mean, he even mentioned RPG elements and everything, and I think that's kind of why MOBAs are just so fun to play, because it's kind of a battle arena. I love the PvP element, but it's also a unique twist on building a character and all that. So good to see him. I hope he starts making League of Legends videos very soon, because the only guy I watched, Video Game Donkey, no longer does it anymore. So Mr. Gaming 990, you got some big ass shoes to fill.
You're right. I mean, so thank you very much, Mr. Gamer 990, for reaching out to us. We hope to hear from you in our next few podcasts. But yeah, so why don't we just kind of jump right into it? Luxboo, do you want me to take off with the first game, or do you want to take off with the first game?
I'm going to take off with the first game.
Alrighty.
Considering I spent all this time in the world trying to figure out what the name of the first game I wanted to drop on you was.
Okay.
So bear in mind, these are games that Laz Brahican and I loved playing together as kids, or just growing up at any point. So one of the first ones, we didn't play it too long, but Freedom Fighters.
Oh God, I can't believe I forgot about
Oh
Freedom
man, I know you're the one that showed it to me too.
Ah.
When you showed that to me, you and I played it all the damn time. Like we started getting all your friends involved, and they were kind of like, "Man, this shit's kind of gay." But you and I, we had a soft spot for it real quick.
I know I had two friends who were like down as clowns to play that game, but you are right that it didn't catch on very much. But oh man, dude, I'm almost mad I forgot about it. I mean, to quick preface everyone who's listening, we actually didn't really tell each other a whole lot about the games we chose. You know, we kind of wanted to give the element of surprise here, and that got me. I can't believe you forgot the name.
Well, like I said, you mentioned it a lot more than I did, and you loved it a lot more than I did. I'm pretty sure you played it by yourself.
Yeah.
But I loved playing that multiplayer game, that game mode where you like recruited people and you held territories and.
Yeah, and it was kind of like a capture the flag scenario, but then it was also like a
King
base
of the Hill
takeover.
or something.
Yeah, like King of the Hill, but base takeover, and we never even played the actual like King of the Hill capture the flag thing. We just did like street fight / like just like gang war turf, like just meet each other on the street and just gun each other down.
I'm pretty sure we gave each other like 5-10 minutes to set up too prior to it. Like we didn't even attack each other.
Oh yeah. Oh man, that was a fun game, and it's such a shame because that's like, you know, if we ever do like a discussion on like the best games nobody has played, like that one is easily like at the top for me. Like what a solid game that just never really took off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, yeah.
And that's the end of the podcast, folks.
That's all she wrote here. I mean, Luxboo clearly won that round. I don't think any of my games that we have at least mount up to our nostalgia factor on that one. But,
oh yeah.
Damn. All right, so my turn now. Am I gonna go?
Go.
Spit my flow here. All right, so for this one, I'm going to say Grand Theft Auto 3 San Andreas. Now, obviously, I don't know how many people actually knew that there was a co-op factor to it, but you could go to one of the random apartments outside of what was CJ's gang?
The Green Guys.
Yeah, it was Green Street?
Grove Street.
Grove Street, yes. And like right outside of Grove Street there was like a 2-player option. And like now suffice to say the 2-player option was not like state of the art or anything like that. You know, it just kind of went to a bird's eye view, and the 2 players really needed to stay in shot this whole time, or else it was just all over the place and super messy. But it
wasn't even advertised.
No,
really, like it was kind of something I think one of us stumbled upon it, and we're like, dude, guess what? we got to do a sleepover right now.
Yeah, and like, you know, you just cause mayhem. And there was one time that I specifically remember I like, you know, God, I played that game. You know, I sneakily played that game with you because my parents forbid me from playing it.
And a bunch of other ones, yes.
A bunch of others. We went to the airport and we broke down one of the gates because we do the weapon cheat, and the only melee weapon we would get with the weapon cheat was the double-sided dildo. So I just remember I was beating the shit out of a chain link fence with a double-sided dildo, hopping in one of the dodos. Or no, we didn't hop in a dodo, we hopped in one of the jet planes. And for whatever reason, even though the jet plane was like, you know, looked like it had like 20 seats in it, it could only fit one of us. So you took off while I was standing on the wing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And while we were flying around, I'm not sure if we went like, you know, into like one of the restricted areas or if you just put on 6 stars. But I remember like us flying and suddenly like 6 stars popped up and like we were flying around for like 20 seconds. You're like, huh. I would have thought we would have gotten a jet fighter by now, and then so like a jet fighter flies past, and then a missile hits the plane, kills you instantly, and then the camera just follows me as I plummet to Earth, and just without a parachute, I just fall and fall to my death. And I just remember us doing that, being like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that just happened."
That definitely like invented the awesomeness of Grand Theft Auto video games.
Oh my god, man, that was.
I remember we like going from epic shit like that. We used to also ride around on a scooter or something.
Yeah.
A Faggio, and we would just shoot the drug dealers just for their money.
Community justice.
Community justice. Drive by, sucker, and then just in and out. That's all it took.
That's all it was just us, pulling up the drug dealers, beating the crap out of them, or drive-buying them. Because like we either did a drive-by or we only attacked them with baseball bats.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we were pretty inventive with really utilizing that limited San Andreas multiplayer.
Oh yeah, even with the limited, everyone has to be on the same screen.
Yeah.
Once you got a hang of it, there was a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't so bad. I mean, and then, God, well, obviously I don't want to stray too far off of co-op, but then obviously, it was a good thing that Rockstar did such a great job with Grand Theft Auto 4's multiplayer. And obviously Grand Theft Auto 5, but Grand Theft Auto 4 was where they really decided to ascend and make something awesome.
Yeah, it seemed like that was almost like the San Andreas multiplayer was like a test for them to see, all right, we can put it in there, we'll see what everyone can do, and then they made for GTA 4, they made it like a online kind of battle arena, I think it was.
Well, they had a bunch of ones, remember? Like, it wasn't like Grand Theft Auto 5.
That's right. You had to basically join a game before you were online.
Yeah, it was kind of like a Halo Call of Duty thing, where you could join a lobby and then move into it.
But they did also have free roam.
Yeah, they did have free roam.
And we also quite often just wanted to do some crazy holdout shit.
Yeah.
And start shooting people.
Well, and then obviously, I think one of our favorite game modes to play was Cops and Robbers.
Oh yes,
dude,
I'm upset they don't have that anymore.
I'm super upset too.
But I mean, it didn't seem like a whole lot of people like that.
Yeah, maybe we were just one of the few, but I just remember having just a blast with that. Especially like even when it started to dwindle down, and so it was just like sometimes you and me versus two other guys, and we would just be like, two PICs, two partners in crime, like trying to take down the robbers or whatever.
We would come up with some crazy. I'm pretty sure you sniped the king guy across the river or something.
Yeah, I sniped
He was
him,
about to get into his thing.
Yeah, I sniped him like basically across the island, or like from one island to another island. So,
oh man,
yeah, that was fun.
Grand Theft Auto has given us such good times.
Oh yeah, there was definitely some memories to be had with that game.
All right, I'm gonna bring up my next one.
Do it.
Now, I know that you didn't like this game too much after a certain point of time, but you and I played the crap out of this game. Dynasty Warriors 3.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that don't know, I'm sure I've said it every time I get, Luxboo is actually Lubu. The X silent. But everyone just calls me Luxboo. It's my nickname, I guess. Lubu's too hard to say. But I remember the thing I loved most about that game. Actually, I remember the first time you and I both had played that game together. I think I played it first, and I knew that you would love it. So when I showed it to you, you had no clue what was going on. And we were playing, it was the Yellow Turban Rebellion, and you were literally just running around the map. And then you ended up on the very top part of the map pretty early in the game, where the gates keep spawning people and the main guy is, and you're like, dude, I don't know where I'm going, and I don't even know. Oh, I found a village. A village was something significant, and then all of a sudden it just got destroyed by 50 dudes in Zhengzhou. I was like, oh man, we got a lot to work on in this game.
Oh yeah, because I remember when you and I were really into it. You were Guan Yu, and I was that guy with the claws who was awful. What was his name? Zhang He. God, and
You loved all the gay guys. Then you went from Zhang He to Zhou Yu,
yeah,
like two of the girliest people in the game.
yeah, dude. But Zhang He, like, cause you would just, obviously, as most games in our adolescence, like, I would just be there, just fluttering around, like, being awful, and then you would be the one just putting the team on your back, and I'd be like, look at our kill counts, and you have, like, 3 times the amount I did. I'd be like, oh, what the hell, man? Like,
You took them all.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and then, yeah.
Well, I mean, we started playing that when we were like 10 years old, so like
Yeah.
we were really, really into it. Like we would, the pregame battle map or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that would just be like our bulletin board, and we would like.
Yeah, that was like war room shit. Like, we were
Yeah.
like planning out, like, how we were gonna take over the entire map.
All right, men, listen up. We start to get gone, and then we meet after 3 battle points have been taken.
The enemy morale will dip, and then we will strike while the iron's hot.
And of course, our plans were always foiled because I have to go over there and save your ass.
Yeah, I would usually just start sucking at some point, probably losing to a gate captain or something.
Yeah, basically. I spent a lot of time in that game buffing up your shitty characters. Like, we weren't playing it together. I was like, man, I gotta find a way to make him
Oh,
not die all the time.
what a sweetie, honestly.
I was up to the wee hours of the morning playing those fucking guys.
I just remember, though, that game was a little bit broken at the end. Like, if you were able to, like, buff up your bodyguards all the way, like, you didn't even have to do anything. Your bodyguards would just go in and were just their own private army, just decimating everyone. Like,
Yep.
even officers.
The swordsman for sure. I used to love the arrow guys, but then I realized once your characters hit the max level and you had all the bodyguards and used swords, like, you just were fucking up people. But I did love that you switched from those two, Zhang He and Zhou Yu, and then ended up with Gan Ning.
Was that the pirate?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. He was
that
cool.
guy.
I liked
That guy was awesome.
Gang Yi was good. I liked him. Yeah, I feel like I'm talking gibberish, though, with all these names. I don't remember.
I
them
just
at
said-
all.
I just said Gan Ning, and then you were like, yeah, Guan Yun.
No, I did not say Guanyan.
He said something.
Anyways, alright, yeah, that was a good one. Next one for me was Age of Empires 2. This was probably like one of the first like true, I think, like online games you and I started playing. You remember the Game Zone?
Yeah, no, wasn't it GameSpy?
No, it was Game Zone first, as it was sponsored by MSN.
Oh,
When MSN still, do you remember
That's
this?
right, that's
like,
right.
MSN still was like doing all that stuff. Cause you and I would switch off playing, I remember that like when we were little, like in the summer, like we would switch off playing like Diablo and then Age of Empires.
mm.
And,
Diablo was another game that you had to hide from your parents.
yep, that was another one.
I'm pretty sure, like, I wrote your mom a letter at some point. I was like, Mom, or
Mom.
Mom too. Let him play the good games,
Yeah,
for
right.
Christ's sake. Look at me, I'm totally fine.
Maybe she did look at you and was like, man,
Yeah.
he can't touch these games.
Whatever he does with his life, Billy, you cannot do.
Yeah.
You do the opposite of that.
I mean, what your mom said it the best when she was like, when you were like in like a senior or maybe like a senior in high school or like a freshman in college, did your mom come to you and be like, "Be careful around Billy, like you're gonna corrupt him or something like
Oh,
that"?
yeah. That was well, like one of her chief concerns. Like, why do you guys have so many sleepovers? I feel like you're gonna corrupt him. And I'm like, Ma, shut up. You don't know me. Me being stupid, I didn't even really know what that meant. I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then when I remember that thought later in my life, I was like, wait a minute, that son of a bitch.
And then lo and behold, had my first drink, my first My Cards lemonade with your ass.
Oh,
And
dude,
it
I
was
got
all...
trashed that night.
Yeah, it was all downhill from there.
I was sipping on my beer. I think we were just watching like UFC. And then you're like, we're just trying to get you to do it. and then you're like, nah, man, I don't know, I don't feel it, and then all of a sudden you just got up out of the random. Room was quiet, and you went into the garage. You come back in with a Mike's Hard. You struggled opening it up, but you got it. You took the babyest sip and you slammed it down like, yes, manhood, here I am. Like,
it's all looking up from here, guys.
Oh God, I went nuts. I was like, oh shit.
Yep, I remember that. I remember that night, man. I remember that night so well.
I remember that move that you did with the Mike's Hard, but everything was pretty fuzzy after that.
Yeah.
Oh, that kind of brings me into my next game. We don't need to talk too much about that. I don't know if there's a whole lot to say, but one of my favorite games to play with you in more recent times was FIFA.
Oh yeah. Dude.
FIFA, and that was like around the same time period. Once you started drinking, we would just get smashed all the time and play that game.
Yeah, dude. FIFA, we had some fun times with that. Like, I remember when we used to work together, and, like, we would just play that all day. Like, if we didn't have any customers in there, we would just be playing FIFA. And, like, I remember it being intense sometimes. Like, I remember, like, we would go, like, an entire match without, like, a word being spoken to each other. Like, it was just, like, intense, like, so only one person's walking away from this match as a victor here.
Yeah, if the game was tied at the end of the first half, that was like sudden death for us.
Yeah,
it might as well have just been cutthroat at that point.
Yeah,
but actually going back to that, you remember back when we did work together and we played FIFA? We ended up playing NHL one time. And we both played the Blackhawks, and you just laid the fuck out of Kane, and you hurt.
Yeah, I played the Penguins.
Oh, you played the Penguins?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the first time I've ever seen an injury in that game. I started playing that game a lot, and then when you took out Kane, it was the hardest charge I had ever seen. It was with one of the Penguins' biggest guys. I think it was, what's his name? Chara, I think it is. He's like a 6'4", 250-pound dude, and Patrick Kane is just this it was like David vs. Goliath, just nailed him.
Well, I remember.
And then you beat me after that. I was so pissed.
Yeah.
Got my biggest guy. I was so ready to just because you always beat me in FIFA, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bring in the big guns here and win a sports game. And then you took out my best player early on in the game, and I was like, I can't. I don't even know.
Then I remember another time you were trying to convince me to play Madden with you, and I was like, dude, I hate Madden. I don't want to play Madden. And then we played it, and I just had, the biggest beginner's luck against you. I was getting, fumble recoveries and interceptions, and, you're like, man, this shit is bullshit. I can't win here.
You were picking the basic packages. You would just pick nickel, and then it would pick for you the nickel defense, and then you would just I would literally know what formation you were going with because of the basic play, and then but still, no matter what I did, you just found a way. I was like, I think that's why we stopped playing sports games together.
Sometimes they did definitely get way too intense. Yeah.
Yep.
So the next one on my list is. Or this is more of an honorable mention. Not that it's our favorite game we played recently.
I feel like we should do quite a few of those honorable mentions too.
Yeah, but just one that what I remember because we did a video on it, and when we did the video, I just remember literally laughing and crying in the recording just because of how fucking funny it was, and that was Damned. I know you kind of have a salty view towards Damned. And Damned is a very, I won't give Damned too many accolades. Obviously it's a pretty low-tech game and, it's pretty laggy. But, man, when I remember the first time you and I played that together and we were just, pissing our pants scared but laughing at the same time.
Well, what made it so great is the first time we ever played it, we had, the best people you could actually have in it.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you would have probably a little Asian chick with with a mic talking all high pitch, and then she picked the scary ass girl that you could be
like
to
the girl from like The Ring, and it was just like,
and she would walk around like singing like this, I'm gonna kill y'all, and I'm just like, oh my god.
And we had no idea what to do. Like you were supposed to like find keys, open doors, and you and I were just running around like being that girl in the scary movie who's just looking for death. Like we weren't even like, we were not supporting anyone. We weren't helping anything. We weren't adding any sort of like, extra narrative to the plot. We were just the ones who were waiting for death. And usually they were smart enough to leave us as the last ones just so we could, wet our pants a little bit more.
I remember, and it was like the first time I died first, and you were the last to live, and then it was like perfectly coordinated where I was the last one to live.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was gonna die, I was trying to find because we found a few keys to get out of the house, but I had to figure out how to go somewhere.
Yeah.
I ended up in some creepy ass room, and then there was the Ring chick. Walking, she's floating into the room. I can't really see anything, and I'm just like, oh my god! And then all of a sudden, all these hands started coming out of the floor, and she started singing, and then just started like, the character started screaming and dashing around the room. I was like, oh god,
Yeah,
I have
dude.
nightmares now.
Oh man, I mean, like that. Out of all like the videos we recorded, I still find that one to be like one of my proudest ones, just because there was so much just genuine like fun and fear and like us screaming like, oh my god, like I had so much fun editing that video. That was like one of my favorite videos that I think we've made this
to go
far.
back and play. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, I remember even my coworker mentioned like I think he's watched quite a few of our videos, but the one that he like loved the most was probably that one, just because it was like, dude, you guys sound like little bitches. And it's like, yeah, for all intents and purposes, we were.
we without a doubt were. Like that was just those people that we played with like loved just fucking with us. They're like, we are just gonna have so much fun with these noobs, and we're just
they took turns.
Yeah, they did. They all were like, we're just gonna do it, and we're like, oh my god. Yeah, that was like not the greatest game. Like I don't think I've played it in a few months, but at least for like a first time novelty $5-10 whatever it was certainly not awful.
Well, I mean, to go with that, I'm gonna have to mention Reign of Kings.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Only because much like Damned, Reign of Kings was like one of those times where we got it and then we just had the best perfect experience the very first time.
Oh my god, yeah.
we had no idea what to do for a little bit, but then we spent all day Sunday like figuring shit out, building up our base, gathering resources, kind of out of the way. Nobody really fucked with us, and then once we realized we could start taking prisoners, that like the whole game changed.
Yeah, the dynamic of who we were and what we did just completely 180'd. But obviously, as you know, the crowning achievement, literally and figuratively for us, was when you and I became king.
Yeah.
And that was before the public servers went to absolute shit with like hackers and stuff.
I can't wait to be king.
And we just turned an entire realm against us. Like, we united everyone to hate us.
We were on that server's shit list until we decided that we actually cannot play on the server anymore.
Yeah, for literal days.
R.I.P. Deckard Cain. the man who housed us as refugees after the server decided to turn its back, or all form a coalition and take us out. But what I thought was the best part about us going into the throne room and killing the king was we were able to like subtly do it at one point, kill the king, and then spent enough time building a wall so people literally could not access the throne room because it was like one long bridge in order to get there. And I while you were capturing the throne room and fucking around with the bear for so goddamn long, I was out there building the best wall ever.
Dude, don't even be mad about that. I threw one of our slaves into the bear pit. Like that was one of the coolest things I probably have done in a game in quite some time.
Yeah, that I gotta admit that was I'm sure it was great. I just wish you had the brightness turned up on your computer or something, because I couldn't see the video. It just looked like little white dots from the whites of the eyes of the guys. And I just remember at some point, like, you're in there doing all that stuff, you know, securing the throne room. I'm out there. I had just finished the wall, and we had, like, just 4 guys, like, naked, throwing stones and javelins at us. I was like, we got some guys out here. And then all of this sudden, here comes a trebuchet and, like, 3 or 4 more other guys. And that's when we were like, all right, dude, we got to go. And they spent, oh, God, from that point when they brought out the trebuchet, for about, I want to say 20 minutes, we were already back at our base, home and comfy, and we just kept shit-talking them in chat.
Yeah.
But we had totally jumped off we
jumped off the side of the island. We went through, like, the emergency exit, basically.
Yeah, and what's even funnier is one of the clans that went up to help everyone else in the coalition found their house. What was it, like Ice Bear Nation or something?
Yeah, it was something bear.
Yeah, and I raided their house and took all their stuff. I think that's what put us on the
I just remember...
It was like salt in the wounds for a week.
Oh my god. I totally remember you and I were just out foraging, and then they specifically just targeted you, dragged you all the way back to their base, just so they could hang you.
Yeah. Just so they can hang... Like, they didn't even say anything to me. Dragged me back, and then they hung me. And like, they all wanted to gather in front of me before I died.
Oh my gosh. That game definitely had some perks. It just was a shame that the community kind of went to shit, and then you and I just could not surpass the learning curve on hand-to-hand combat in that game.
Yeah, I think the hand-to-hand combat is really...
That was our undoing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So then another, at least probably my last honorable mention that I can think of is, once again, going back into the history, the vaults of history for us, and that is Conker's Bad Fur Day. Once again, just kind of like how you teed it off with Freedom Fighters, I think Conker's Bad Fur Day is and very much was just a cult classic. And man, I obviously I didn't play any of the single player, still never have, but they had some of the best multiplayer modes.
Oh yeah,
by far.
It was, yeah. I mean, and that's just across all games ever, period. Just because, you had, what's that? It was like the beach one where, there were like 2 or 3 teddy bears trying to stop everyone from running across.
Yeah, it was like storming the beach or something like that. I forget what it was called.
And I remember, like, we would stock, it would just be, like, at some point, it would just be you and me trying to get to the other side. We put, like, the Einstein level to try and kill us, and we just spent so much time going, all right, I'm going to crouch, and then you go, and then I'm going to go that way.
Or, like, I remember, like, the last time we played it, when we played it at my place up in college, and like when we emulated it, and you kept trying to hit the button, like if you jumped down on the button, like it made all the teddy bears explode, and it gave us like a 5-second like safety, and like you just kept getting sniped out from wherever the hell those teddies were. They just had you pinpointed, and there was no way any of us were moving.
They were too good. I remember too. The other one that we loved playing was the Raptor one.
Yes, the Raptor one.
Where you had to go steal their eggs and throw it in the frying pan. Well, that was just a pain in the dick. Trying to sneak around.
Yeah, I just like you'd be scared because like it was like the caveman on one side, and then the raptor nest on another side of the map, and then in between was like that temple. And like I just remember like you'd be walking down like the hallways of the temple, and you hear like the raptors like just ravaging one of like the computer players. And all you have is like your little bone club, and you're like, oh my god! Like I mean, it was almost ready for this.
It was almost like the Damned elements. Like you would just hear this raptor just mauling the shit out of a squirrel, and then you were like, oh my god, I'm gonna be next. And you just kind of hid, hoping that he wouldn't be able to find you. Yeah. But 9 times out of 10, he found you.
Yeah, and then I remember when we last played it, we had a lot of fun doing the robbers one. I forget the name of it.
Yes. It was Heist.
Heist, yeah. And I always just will remember the ending when like after the winners finish it, and they're like, yeah, the swim with the fishes right now. And you just see the rest of the team just like with cement shoes, like just being thrown into the water.
I loved it when he said, "You are my new number one."
Yeah.
Come on, tough guy. Drinks around me. Oh man, what I would do to hear that actually happen again.
I'm my new number one. I love that.
Well, I think I'm gonna throw in one more.
Okay.
I think we've already talked about, Dynasty Warriors and how we always had a game plan and we had like a war room and all that. So we were we loved, actually even going back to Freedom Fighters, we loved games that had a lot of strategy and teamwork and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings me to my last game. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. What was the Xbox?
We talked about that one. We didn't bring it up. Oh, man, that was...
Yeah, I know. That was the only game that I had so much fun playing the same fucking level over and over and over because we could not
we never got anywhere with that game.
Yeah. Well, wait, because we wanted to be. So maybe it was more so me than us, but I just wanted every level done perfectly, and to do that first level perfectly was like almost impossible. I just remember like the best parts though were like teaming up when you first go into like the sneak into the into the place, and there's those guys watching the soccer game. Or for some reason, it's just two guys sitting on a couch, but we always managed to one of us miss our shots, and so one would go down, and then the guy would just turn around and like destroy us after that.
Yeah, because we always tried to do it like where there was no alarms raised, and we were awful at that.
Yeah,
it was so bad.
I mean, we got pretty good at like when we were able to. I think we had to get to the president or something, and we had to like capture him and then get like a passcode or something. And I remember we got to that part, but I don't think we ever beat.
I know we beat the level, but like we never got past like 2 or 3. Like that never happened.
Actually, I think you're right because I remember being in a different part of the game, but yeah, I think we only ever got past the first level.
Yeah, we were pretty bad at that game for how many hours we sunk into it.
I mean, I don't think we're not going to talk about it too much, but yeah, that was one of the games where we just spent literally like we would play it, and if we played it like at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, we would play it until we had to go to bed. Yeah, but we spent it all our time on that one level. And for some reason, it never got old or boring.
No, like I remember us playing it like even after like other Splinter Cells had come out, like we would still be trying to play that stupid multiplayer map.
I don't even think we played another Splinter Cell together.
I don't think we have.
I think there was the Double Agent that came out. I think we both played it on our own, and then, I mean, otherwise, yeah, we pretty much reverted back to Chaos Theory, and I think it was really so much like the challenge. There are some games that you play back in your childhood, and you're like, man, that game was so hard, and then you just like go back to it when you feel like you're better at video games.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't want to go too crazy on the time here because we're already at 37 minutes, but one just popped in my head of like me just remembering how much harder it was when we came back to it than me playing it when I was little, and just the just all the stuff attached to it. But when you and I revisited Super Mario Brothers 3, and we would play it hammered, as our adult selves would. And
not just hammered, like we actually had a small window of drinking time while we were playing that game.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Oh my gosh. Like when you and I that game is the reason why I can no longer drink Fireball. Like that game is the reason why when we those 2 times where we drank Fireball, like every shot after every death, like I literally died. And I remember the next day, throwing up, being like, "Oh my god, I can never do that again."
The next day, dude, you puked the same night.
Maybe. Oh, dude,
yeah.
I blacked out. I definitely remember that.
I remember. I was still quite all right. Actually, I was pretty drunk, but yeah, I remember. towards the end of that night when we played it like the second time, you probably spent no more than like 5 minutes on the level. At some points you would take a shot, and then about 5 minutes later you were doing another one, and then another one, and then another one.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would literally just start the level and then.
Yeah, dude, that was bad.
I do have to say one more. We're not going to spend too much time on it. World of Warcraft. I got to say it.
That's not co-op though. It's
not
MMO.
co-op.
No,
what I have to say is,
fine.
I loved when you and I were. It was almost like a LAN kind of party thing, and and we would quickly go on a run to like Steak and Shake, get some food going, and then when we didn't play in the same room, you were the main tank, and you were the most noted as being the guy that always fell asleep during a raid, but only at the final.
Yeah, I did that twice.
Never did you fall asleep at any other point in any raid ever. It was always the last boss in Nax.
In my defense
worst
for that, it was we had some awful raiding times for that guild. We raided we would start Nax at like midnight or like 1 a.m. Like we had terrible times.
Yeah, we did. Well, I mean, one of our raid leaders was in China, I think. Asia.
She was in China or Australia.
Luxboo, you need to get mods, Luxboo.
All right, well, that's all the time you get for WoW, just because that wasn't.
So I said we're not gonna spend too much, but I gotta mention it.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed our 3rd episode. This is Last Mohican and
Luxboo.
And happy gaming, gamers.
Happy gaming.